So, a few years ago, I was on a plane flying from Zurich to Tel Aviv, which I'm not just telling you to prove that I'm very chic, but to say that I was about to embark upon a 4-hour joyride in coach. Behind me sat a young mother and her 2-year-old son. As soon as I sat down, that kid started kicking my seat. And I don't mean adorable baby nudges. I mean full throttle soccer player kicks. This was not going to be okay for 4 hours. So first, I turned to the mother and I said in my nicest voice, I said, "Ma'am, do you see what your child is doing? Could you stop him, please?" She stopped him. He calmed down. I turned back around and I enjoyed about 3 seconds of bliss before baby Maradona started kicking my seat again. And I swear he took it up a notch. So you know what I did? I took it up a notch too. I turn around full on Israeli and I go, "Ma'am, can you stop him, please?" And she looks up at me and she goes, "What do you want me to do? He's 2." I could not believe what I was hearing. In that moment, I had the exact same thought that every single one of you is having right now. What kind of a mother is this? She's the worst mother in the world. The next thought I automatically had was I must alert the flight attendant to this indignity, and I will either get bumped to first class or this duo gets asked to step out the plane. But you know, as I sat there seething in my own anger and contemplating that, I realized I can't do that. I'm an executive and personal coach. I help people to mind their mindsets for a living. What would it look like if I got up and made a big scandal? So instead, I did the right thing. I sat and I waited for another opportunity to see if we could resolve things around here. And my opportunity came but a moment later. When baby Maradona went to sleep, I turned around to see if the nice lady was still awake, and she was. And this time I tried an enlightened approach. I said, "Ma'am, look, I know that it's hard to be a mother, but do you think you could have helped me out back there?" And what she said next astonished me and has stayed with me for years. She looked up at me and she said, "You're right. I could have done something. I'm sorry. My husband left me yesterday, and we're flying home, and I just don't know what to do." Man, was I wrong about her? In your life, you are wrong about a lot of situations just like these too. In my story, I'm presenting a metaphor for how most of us are living most of the situations and scenarios in our life. We think we know what's going on when we see just a small sliver of what's going on. As my Gandhi-esque turn in the story proves, things can go a lot better around here if we are willing to sit with uncertainty for just an extra second. And today I'm going to argue that to fix the world, we must all sit with uncertainty for an extra second. So let's start by talking about why you think you know anything anyway. Why would anybody jump to conclusions knowing that you don't really have too much visibility? You don't do this because you're a bad person who enjoys condemning mothers on planes. Very few people are that cynical. You do this because it's your brain's default. Over generations, the brain has evolved to ensure the survival of our species, and thus it is mostly focused on helping you to avoid pain and feel safe. And it does this extremely efficiently. It's a very energy efficient organ. And so in order to do this, it employs as many shortcuts as possible. In the world of psychology, these shortcuts are known as heuristics and cognitive bias. These terms were thought up in 1972 by two other brilliant Israelis, Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman, who proved that while we think we're very rational thinkers, we are, in fact, not so much. We use heuristics, which are essentially mental shortcuts that ease the cognitive load of making a decision, which would otherwise be exhausting to us. Examples of heuristics include the rule of thumb, using your intuition, a guesstimate, profiling, or what I used on that plane, common sense. But as you can also tell from my plane story, those can backfire pretty quickly. And if we let them backfire again and again and again, and we don't suffer any repercussions like I did on the plane, we don't see a plot twist, those heuristics turn into cognitive bias. And cognitive bias has been proven through years of research to stunt your ability to solve problems, to make you less adaptable to change, and to block you from creating any new ideas. It would be like if I hadn't learned my lesson on that plane and from then on had stepped on every single plane and immediately scanned it for mothers with small children, avoiding them. That's just not cool. So, in other words, while your brain is a very efficient and well-intentioned organ, it is not automatically to be believed. Here's a great way that I've come up with to help you remember this after TED. Your brain is like my overprotective Jewish mother. It'll do anything to keep you out of harm's way, even if that means you never get to grow up and you can't leave the house. Except you understand that to live your life, you have to get out of the house. In Sir Ken Robinson's TED Talk, Do Schools Kill Creativity? Google it, it's my favorite. He postulates that if we are not prepared to be wrong, we will never come up with anything original. And I've prepared a one-liner for you as well. If you're not willing to sit with uncertainty, you will kill possibility. Why don't we make this applicable to your life now? I invite you all to conjure up a situation in your life that's challenging you right now. Maybe you're going through a partnership dissolution. Perhaps your job isn't going so well, or your career is shaky. Maybe you're a little bit fearful of what will happen in the next election. Who knows? Perhaps someone's kicking the back of your seat. No matter what's happening to you right now, I ask you to question, to challenge what you think you know. What can you still learn here? Is there another way to see this? Because if you can inject just that moment, challenge what you know, you will immediately come up with two new avenues. The first, you'll see that anything that you know can offer at least one or two more perspectives. The avenue of broader perspective. And in so doing, you will create the avenue of possibility. And that is really the avenue of you getting your power back in that situation. Because if you see that there's more than one way of looking at this, you'll see that there's more than one way out of this. And that'll make you feel a lot safer than if you just accept things as they are. You'll see that this little exercise, this tiny little pause, applies to everything from run-ins on planes to even science. Why, for some people, even physics didn't be the end-all. It sure wasn't for Einstein, who through his lifetime helped us graduate from Newtonian physics to more comprehensive theories like quantum physics and chaos theory. Or let's take the topic of our times, the one that really does need fixing, global warming. It is happening. It's having dire effects. I myself can no longer see a polar bear without crying. At the same time, who's to say that the predictions are real? They are predictions. No one can know with 100% certainty what will happen in 5 years, let alone in 50 years. Who's to say that someone somewhere out there is not working on a comprehensive, organized solution as we speak, and that AI and automation might even work in our favor? You'll see, it's a positive way to think, and it injects so much light that allows you to discover that which you don't know. Of all of the things that I teach in my seminars, you don't know what you don't know. Being okay with knowing that you don't know, being okay with uncertainty, is the one lesson that has had the most profound effect on my life. Like many people, I spent most of my time on this planet thinking that I know, if not everything, then a lot of things. For example, I knew that my career choice would be safe and stable for the remainder of my days. Career that I picked in around 2006, when The Devil Wears Prada was very big and I thought publishing would last forever. I did not have the last laugh. With the demise of the publishing industry that is still ongoing, at first I clung to certainty wherever I could find it. One job after another, maybe this one will work out, maybe this one will be stable. until I realized that I was swinging at windmills, that it was evaporating, and that I could definitely do a much greater service to myself by not banging on that which I know, which was a door that was closed, and turn instead in the direction of that which I didn't know, which was vast and contained immense new possibility. And that's responsible for my new career now, reinvented at the age of 40, thank you very much. I'm very happy. On an even more personal note, that wonderful, overprotective Jewish mother of mine is currently battling advanced cancer. There are few things that seem more certain than cancer. The doctors have diagnoses, they certainly know what they know. I don't argue with doctors, I'm Jewish. But I like to give equal weight to the stories of miraculous healing that I've heard, to the idea that somehow they will find a cure in this time, to the knowledge that no one has ever come back with a first-hand account of death, so maybe it's not so terminal. And all of these are not easy thoughts to reach for, especially with something as certain as cancer. But I bet you they feel a lot better. And for what it's worth, they're helping me and my family make more positive the time we have now. And that's something. Voltaire said, "Doubt is an uncomfortable condition, but certainty is a ridiculous one." I'd like to postulate that to fix the world, we all have to accept that certainty is a ridiculous condition. For many people, the uncertainty of these times, while it is a given, is driving them in this situation of believing their brains even more, digging their heels in, and for many, believing in conscionable politicians who are selling them fake certainty. But for the rest of us, this is an inevitable truth. We are living through the greatest revolution that we've ever seen, and one that has only just begun, a global, economic, financial, and cultural revolution. And it can be really great if we can all turn from being problem-focused and arguing for what we know, turning instead to solution-focused and exploring what we don't know, until we're ready to move forward, like that lady did on the plane, who moved on with her life and got remarried, which I know because we're still friends. Thank you.